Hello guys, today I will be showing you how to make a simple line trace that you can use for weapons, which has a spread. So as you can see here, while I'm not aiming, the line trace is less accurate, but while I'm aiming, the line trace will be more concentrated, will be more accurate. And you can control the spread amounts in the function that we're about to create. Also, you can use this for simply picking up items. So once you have these in your inventory, you can drop them and they will be also randomly placed. Just like that. I won't be showing you the inventory system nor the gun, like the gun mechanics. I will just be doing the tutorial on this line trace, which you can implement into your games. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so I'm in a new project. I'm using the third person template. So first thing I will do is move the camera to make it more like a first person point of view. You can use the first person template. I'm just using this one because I want to have the body in the first person perspective. So first thing you do is drag the camera boom and parent it to the mesh. Let's reset the arm length to 0 and attach it, go to the parent socket and attach it to the head. Make sure you reset the location and check that the rotation is all correct. So if you play here, you can see the body. Right now it's clipping, so we'll bring it a bit forward. And currently the body does not turn when we rotate the camera. So let's bring the camera boom slightly forward to avoid the clipping. And then we go up to the actor and search rotation. Use control desired rotation, turn that on, and turn this one off. Let's compile that and also use the controller rotation yaw. So the character rotates with the camera and we get this first person view with the body. Okay, so now let's actually move on to the line trace. So in the third person event graph, we will drop the line trace node. So search line trace by channel. And for now, we will fire this off in the event tick. Let's just put a slight delay. So I hit the D key to bring up this delay node. We'll plug that in here. So in the line trace, we need a start point and the end location. So the start point will be our camera. So drag your camera. And we need the world location. Plug that into the start one. And now we need the end location. So first we get the world rotation of the camera. And we find the forward direction. So we get the forward vector. And we will multiply this and add it to the start location and plug that into the end. And this value here will determine how far this will go. So we right click it and convert to a float. For now, let's just write 250 and let's see what this does. In the draw debug type, we turn it on to, we'll say, for duration, and if we expand this node, we can change how long it stays on the screen. Let's just go 2 seconds. And yeah, let's see how this looks. So right now you can see that it's drawing a line from the camera, and every time it hits, it shows up as a green, meaning that it hit an object. Okay, so now we want to fire this on a key press. Okay, so back in the event graph, let's add a keyboard node, and you can just choose whichever letter appears and go over here, press on this keyboard icon, and we'll press E, and that will select the button. We can move this over to the advanced input system later, but for now we will just use this node as it's for just our debugging purpose. So we can delete this event node, and on pressed we execute the line trace. And so the draw debug type is the one that draws that red line. So when you press E, that line is displayed. So we will turn that off for now, and to give us a visual indicator that it hit something, we will drop a branch node. So you can press B and left click to bring that out. So this will return if it hit or not, so we connect that to the branch node. And so on true, we'll just we'll print a string saying it hit, and if it false, we'll say missed, just like that. And we can also drop a sound node, play sound 2D, and we'll put a success, that one. And for the missed one, we will put an error. Error. Compile. Failed. Just to give us an audio indication as well. So let's see how that works. Actually, let's increase the range. Say 500. So if I press E, failed. If I go up to this wall, you can hear that noise, and on the top left it says hit, just like that. Again, we'll just turn this back on just so you can see. So this is with the draw debug type. It's missed, and if we go up to this wall, there you go, we get that hit. So after we get the keyboard press, now let's add the variable spread. Okay, so back in the event graph, we will add the spread by first going to this add node. We will drop this pin. So we have this new vector. We'll drag out from that. We will make a vector. Just like that. And we will drop a random float in range. So in here we will determine the X, Y, and Z position, how far each of them can go. So we will copy paste them 3 times. And if you do want different ranges, you can put different values for each of the max and min. But for now, I'm just gonna have one number, so it will be an even spread in a circle. So we will drop a make literal float node here. And for the minimum, we want to multiply it by -1, so we get the opposite number of the max. So we plug that into the minimum values. just like that. And from this one, we drag it off to the max. So in the make literal float, we can put, let's start off with, say, 20. And let's make sure this thing's on for duration. Let's just leave it a bit longer now. Back to 5 seconds so we can see the new spread here. So let's play that now. So if I press, let's go up to this wall to make it simpler to see. So as you can see, it's not centered. If we change that to 0, we should be seeing a more accurate line trace. And there you go. So it's slightly moving because my character itself has a moving animation. As you can see, the spread works. Let's test it again with a higher value. 5, maybe 70. As you can see, it's really large right now. So we will collapse this into a function to make it more neat, and we can use it for weapons and interact dots. So let's do that. So we highlight everything, right click and go collapse it function. So we get this one node. Let's double click it. Let's rename it to line trace. Okay, so I'm gonna do a bit of cleaning. Okay, so from here we want to drag this this float value, which determines the length. Let's put that into the input node. Let's rename that to distance. And now let's take this one as well. Shift left click to drag that into the input node as well. Oops. Maybe not all of it. Let's just add, let's call it spread. So we add an input node here, change that to float. Now we can shift right click this into spread. Just want it to look slightly cleaner. Let's add a reroute node here. See if I can put everything here. Let's drag that into there. Yep. So we can get rid of this one now. So now we have the distance and the spread in this function. So when we go back to the event graph, we can manually input it here. So let's say 250 and spread again. Let's just say 100. Let's just see if this function works. Yep, still works. So what we can do is promote these two variables. So within the character, we can change the distance and the spread. So we can say interact distance, and then the interact. I guess we don't need the interact spread, but that should just be 0. So like, just pretend you had a mouse button. Say you had a gun. You can take this. You can take this function, and you can change the spread depending on your bullet. So you can, for example, something like this. Oops. So we'll call this spread aim. Duplicate it to spread like hip when you're firing from the hip. And you can put that into the spread. So if you had a boolean with your weapon, say is aiming. So I'm only showing this as an example in the in the third person blueprint. Obviously, you'd ideally want to put this in the weapon system, but for now, I'm just showing you the example of how to use this function. So if aiming is true, you'll go up to here, and then you can say 0 for the aim spread, or just 5. And then if you have if you're firing from the hip, let's just say you have again a 70 spread. Let's promote this one to a variable as well. So weapon distance, compile, and let's input 250. So when I left click, it will fire this line trace if I'm aiming. For now, let's just say I am aiming, and it will do the 5 spread. So let's test that here. So very concentrated. Now let's change aiming to not aiming. So we should be getting this spread, which is 70. Oops. Oh, what? Oh yes, the dropbook type. Spread. Oh yeah, the distance. I forgot to plug that in here. So let's try again. So when you're not aiming, and I left click, it's very spread out. Okay, I just wanted to add one more thing, which I forgot. You can take this draw debug type and you can drop that into the input node as well. So in the function, you can choose whether or not to display it. So let's say when I press E, it will show up forever, persistent. And when I left click, it will show up for duration on both of them. And you could drag this and put it into the line trace as well if you want a custom draw like time duration, which you can do here. But for now, I'll just leave it at 5 seconds. Control Z. Yep. So again, yeah, just adding this draw debug type. So for each of the line trace, you can determine, you can show if it's working or not, or you can see if your spread and distance are correct. So let's see that in the game. So when I press E, that should stay indefinitely, and I left click, that should disappear in 5 seconds. And yep, there you go. So yeah, just that little addition, which does help a lot when you're trying to debug a few things with this line trace. Okay, to finish off this function, we need to add a return node. So for now, we can get rid of these nodes here at the end. Let's just drag them off to the side. So let's drop down a return node. Plug that right here. And so what we want is for each function to execute a different thing. So what we do need is the same, similar to this setup. We drag the out hits and the return value. We can change this to hit or did hit. And so in the event graph, if it did hit, we can add that branch here. Actually, let's copy paste this. We can add that here. So it will do the same thing, but now we can have different effects depending on the function, the use of the function. So here where we're pressing the left mouse button, let's also break this. We'll break out the hits and we'll get the location of where it hits, and let's spawn an emitter at location. And this is just for fun. I'm showing you how you can use this for different setups. So let's just go with P-Explosion. So if that hits, it will spawn this explosion when I left click. And when I press E, there shouldn't be anything happening, just these sounds. So let's test that. So E, we just get that noise. Now if we left click, there's that little spark. Oh, I thought it would be bigger. Let's change that. Let's choose. That's all I have in the starter effects. Let's just put fire for fun. Let's shoot this wall with fire. There you go. You can chuck Molotovs at things. Bam. Cool. And so yeah, that is the line trace with the spread. Thank you for watching. In the future tutorials, I will use this for the interact dot, which is probably the next logical step of using this line trace. And yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.